And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Innovation Fika, 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. KTH, Donnie here. Innovation Fika every Wednesday at 9 a.m. to 9:30. I do a 30-minute coffee break with interesting guests, interesting topics, and lots of cool questions. And as you come online, everyone, make sure to, as usual, say who you are and where you're from. And there's Yash. Hi, Yash, from India. Yash is always on it. Yash is one of my regulars. Good to see you, Yash. Thank you for being on the call. Everybody else, as you come on the call, please, as Yash did here, add who you are, where you're from, and get the networking starting as well in the, because this is a live thing, right? So we're doing live comments, we're doing live questions, and we're also doing some live interaction. So feel free to network as well in the comments. I'm just going to see that we have everything going when it comes to audio working well, camera working well, everything is good. Anyway, so episode 165 of my Innovation Fika. All episodes are on YouTube. We go live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, sometimes Instagram as well. And today I am here with, I will actually say my old friend as well. Not only is he a world famous author, 5 books, keynote speaker, creative futurist, he's also an old friend of mine. And I'm really, really happy to have you here. So, but I will ask you the same question that I ask everybody else on the show. So, who are you and what do you do?
Well, first of all, I'm consider myself a friend to you, Donnie, and you got great energy, and this is a great way to wake up to be around you. It's like drinking coffee 10 hours a day.
Cheers.
Cheers for that. Well, my name is Stefan Engeseth, and I write books, and I have a passion for that. Been doing that for 25 years, holding workshops, and but I'm sort of stuck in a 2-year-old stage where I sort of start to ask questions about everything. So that's what I do. So
You're a curious soul.
Yeah, I'm a curious soul. So I'm stalking people who have knowledge everywhere. So,
yeah. But your most famous book so far, I'd say, is it Sharkonomics?
Yes.
Sharkonomics.
Yes.
Yeah. And when did that one come out? The first one. You've written 2, right?
Yeah, 2 versions, 2 editions. It came out 2012.
Yeah.
So I studied sharks for 3 years, and I did dive with them in South Africa. The great white shark is my favorite.
I love the way when you're going to write a book about business called Sharkonomics, and of course you have to dive with sharks first,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Well, that sounds like a bit like James Cameron, because the only reason he made Titanic was that he wanted an excuse to dive at the wreck.
All right.
Well, as the myth goes. So
yeah, if you're watching, I want to die with you too. So it's
James.
Yeah. Yeah, of course you're listening. That you must. But that's it is sort of I've always been fascinated about sharks, and I it's sort of the super predator and super nice design, and they could take a bite of hardwood any day. So I think they have a lot of knowledge, and it was really good experience. But when I started to study sharks, and I did spend 3 years interviewing the best sharks experts in the world, and also diving with them and so on, I realized that by studying another species, I start to get knowledge about our species.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And I saw there's so many things we don't know. It's like we study everything else, but except ourselves.
Yeah.
So I started to see there's something missing here, and the feeling grew partly. The more I learn about other species, and my former girlfriend, she's a therapist, so I spend a lot of time with her college and the one she's working with, and I found out that there is a lot of knowledge missing, in my opinion. So I started to get curious about it on those years.
And I know that you've spent like 8 years now for this latest book.
Yes.
Researching that one.
Yeah.
So that should have started about 15 or something like that. No,
yeah.
16. Like that. Yeah.
Around 16.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what was it? And then because we're going to talk about Stefan's latest book, Homo Stupido. How can such an incredibly intelligent species be so incredibly stupid? But how did the idea? I mean, what was the sort of the idea? How did it come to you? The idea for the book?
It actually started a long time ago when I was about 8-10 years, and we had history class in school, and I was a bit cocky at that time. Not now, but at that time I was a bit cocky. So I raised my hand and I said to the teacher, it's not all right to lie in front of children, I said. And he said, what do you mean, Stefan? Well, there's no way Homo sapiens have achieved all the stupidity you're talking about. So he sent me to the principal, and the principal called my mom. And they said, your son is too cocky. He had a wrong attitude. And if he should go to school, he needs to behave. And that feeling I had all my life when I watched the news. How can we be so stupid and so intelligent at the same time winning the Nobel Prize and everything?
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's getting any better.
No. Actually, I wanted to continue after 8 years writing the book, but people said to me, maybe it's time to get it out before we end the whole show.
Exactly. To at least say, what? I told you so.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the biggest I told you so ever. So anyway, so then the idea, yes, go on, please. Sorry.
So that was the idea. And I started to write the book, maybe because I wanted to sort of making self-therapy and understanding how can we be so stupid. So I started to call a few professors out in the beginning and said, I want to discuss this because it doesn't make sense for me. Yeah. So
but
that's
the question there, when you talk about other species, because usually we compare ourselves to other species and we say, the humans are the only people that can do this and this and this. And we're the only ones that can feel empathy. We're the only things that do this and this and this. But when it comes to stupidity, is it like a human trait or is it just a thing in the world?
I think because we are sort of the top predator.
Yeah.
We think we can afford to be stupid, and we could afford to be stupid in the past. But now we have become so powerful and dangerous for ourselves and for the planet. We can't afford it anymore, especially with the wars. We have too much powerful weapons to our disposal, and we developing technologies which could be extremely dangerous for us, and we have no control in how we develop them. And also they're becoming soon very much smarter than us. So what's positive with that is that we cannot afford to be stupid. We need to change. And that's why I wanted to recycle our stupidity and make it to something positive.
Yeah. And that's one of the key, actually, it's the payoff here on the book is recycling our stupidity to save our planet.
Yeah.
But going back to the beginning of it, I mean, how did the start of stupidity? I mean, it's like an evolutionary thing. Why hasn't sort of the evolution removed stupidity? I mean, it was the survival of the fittest and everything like that.
Yeah.
Why aren't the non-stupid ones that survive?
Well that's weird. Actually, I went to the Nobel Prize.
In December.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk with someone else, the most smartest one, and yeah. Well, the thing is that historically, it wasn't enough for me when I did the research to study humankind, because we know more about space and the oceans than we know about our brain. Actually, our knowledge about ourselves was too limited for me. So I went all the way back to the creation of Earth, and I studied life from the beginning. And what I found in the pattern, which I think is really interesting, is that it has been really good for us to have conflicts and competitions and war that have developed our whole system. Maybe we wouldn't have ice if we didn't have those conflicts. Yeah, because that's had been a positive strategy for us. So that's why I think the bad boys survived.
You mean, so is it like a healthy, like a sort of a healthy trait that sometimes we're too stupid to realize that we shouldn't be doing something, so we do it anyway? I mean, it's like, again, the myth about, the bumblebee, it shouldn't be able to fly, but it doesn't know it's, which isn't true because of physics, actually. But sometimes, as an entrepreneur myself, I can say, I won't call it, well, let's call it stupidity for the show's sake. Sometimes entrepreneurs, the stupidity is what drives us into doing things that we actually probably, if we were rational about it, we'd say, this is a stupid thing to do. But we do it anyway.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's good stupidity and there's bad stupidity. Yeah, you could say. So if, for instance, if I know it would take me 8 years to write this book, maybe I wouldn't start.
Of course.
And even this morning when I was going here, I opened the book and I forgot time because I liked the topic.
Yeah.
So I was nearly too late to the.
Yeah, I had a message from Stefan here at like 8 minutes to 9 going, oops, Homo Stupidity, I'm still on the tube.
Yes.
I'll be right there.
Yeah, but I think we're sort of the just do it species.
Yeah.
So we don't think so much, we just do things. And that have been really good when it comes to innovation and so on. Sort of it can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing when it leads to war and sort of
exactly
destruction part of our species.
We're getting here. I mean, Yash said so much disinformation online that we talked about that before, and then here Amir as well. Survival of the nastiest. Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of the good and the bad.
Yeah,
good and the bad.
Yeah, it's good and bad. It's a combination. So I found it so. For instance, I've interviewed a lot of science people in AI technology and so on, and all said the same thing. We are trying to develop technology which are good for humankind, but then when it comes to how we use it, we have no control over it. So it's a very complex question. And if we look at the war industry, they have developed a lot of great technologies which we can use in other parts of life. And I think we're going to need those smart people working in that industry because. But
that's a question I have when it comes to the drive that drives innovation. Because I mean, I work with innovation every day. And just as you say, most technology that we develop can be used for good and bad. Most often it's with some good intentions, but as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But when we're coming back to sort of how we can use this, then do we always need a war to develop new technology? I mean, do we always need to push it that far? I mean, can't we do it anyway? Can't we just be nice to each other and develop cool things anyway?
yeah, that's a good thing. Well, I think I'm not a fan for war, but I have a dream to work with the war industry to see how they could recycle themselves to something else.
Yeah.
So that because the level of technology is amazing.
Yeah.
And what I found was really amazing with the technology that they can do anything when it comes to kill each other.
Yeah.
But when it comes to peace, we're not so good. And that's also something I study in the book. Why are humankind so much more effective when it comes to doing bad than doing good?
Yeah, but that's a human thing. I mean, when we do creative exercises, one of the strongest creative methods is write down like 20 ways of offering bad service.
Yeah.
And people go, it's like super simple. And then you do a reverse and you do, okay, well, give me the opposite of those 20. And they have 20 ways of improving service.
Yeah.
But those 20 improvements, they wouldn't have been able to come up with in the same way as they came up with the negatives.
Yeah.
So what is that? Why are we so good at being?
Yeah, well, you're really spot on. And I think this is so interesting. And I think, in my opinion, bad things is about triggers our survival instinct. So we pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But good things is just like a beautiful bird or something. It's not about our survival. That's why people are watching the news every evening and getting this bad information and also negative energy. So we sort of school people to that negative information is important. And I think media has a really important role to change the whole system of humankind. And that channel positive energy. And then they should fill it with positive psychology and also the sport psychology because they're goal oriented. And it works. So we need to change the whole system.
So when you talk about what did you say, recycling stupidity to save the planet? I mean, what does that mean? We'll talk about it, but first, just in a wider sense, what do you mean by that?
Well, if I should write a book about our stupidity and just mention all the things we're doing bad, it should take me 2 weeks. So easy to do that. Yeah. But the hard work was to change it to something positive. And we can do that and also interviewed recycling experts and so on. But using the resources we have and change it. But we don't know what resources we have because when we talk about our capabilities, we don't know so much. But they're starting to change in science and they're more allowed to change, for instance, how we read our energy, how we connect to each other. it's very important, and we need to use our different gifts, because I think nature is very powerful. So nature has given us different gifts so we could in a tribe survive. And I think those people who always been ahead of time, like the sci-fi people, they're extremely important, because they, in my opinion, I think they're here to train the tribe for what's coming next. And we need to involve them. And the feeling I got all my life when it comes to innovation is a frustration. Because I think we live in a museum. I'm not impressed of what we have achieved. And people get really frustrated about it. And I had a lecture in New Zealand, and when I mentioned this a little bit, one fellow in the audience, he felt so provocative about that I said I'm not impressed. So he stood up and he screamed in front of the whole audience.
Wow.
He screamed, "Can you tell me another species who invented the airplane, the cars, and of course the skateboard?" he said.
It was like, what?
What? It was like a lawyer. And I said, he was waiting for my answer. So I asked him, "Can you mention another species who tried to destroy the Earth?" So he sat down. But that's the thing. We've done really good things, but I'm not really impressed. We can do so much more.
I mean, and I know that you also mentioned, but you usually say, but also mentioned here, that we shouldn't teach history, we should teach the future.
Yes.
And that's a mindset shift in I mean, and that comes back a lot to, as another famous author called Douglas Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He also talked about the importance of actually, he didn't say teach the future as you do, but he said, it's important to see the future in the way we want to see it. So we can actually go towards that instead of being afraid of just ending up somewhere, kind of thing. Is that? And when you say that you need to teach the future instead of history, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I'm highly dyslexic, by the way. So it's easy for me to break things down and see new patterns, but it's really hard for me maybe to take the tube and come to the right place, if you say so. But what I mean with that, I was so frustrated when I went to school. They teach us as kids about our failure as a species. But I'm not here for the failure. I'm a kid. I want to create the future. So why don't they have a topic in school called future? And where the teacher is more a guide to the kids. Because kids are amazing. And they're open-minded, and they're not destroyed by a future. They should create the future.
Exactly.
And by visualizing the future, that you can do anything, then they could change the world so much more.
That's a really good point. And another thing, I'm speeding up a bit here, but trying to get as much as possible later. By the way, everyone, ask questions as well. Good to see people from Milan, from Bosnia as well. Good to see you, Milan. And yes, of course, science fiction writers. I love science fiction when they actually look at the future and try and see the future. But if we're going back to the practical aspects, then, if I'm running a company, say I have a company with a startup or a scale up or a big company, how the concept of recycling stupidity, the concept what you're talking about, how can I apply that in like an everyday corporate environment?
I haven't thought about it before you asked the question, but this is big business, actually. Because if you look at everything that's out on the market, you can recycle every business field there is. For instance, sending package today, it would go faster to go on a bicycle to England than to send a package, in my opinion, many times. And it costs
depends on which company you use.
I actually had a phone call with them today saying that next time I'm going to buy a bike, I'm going to go to England, deliver it myself, and So, but I think so that business field, it's terrible. Anyone could recycle that business field, make it faster. But it's sort of that we accept the stupidity that it should take such a long time, and e-commerce is booming. And then the capacity is even less. So there's, if you look at anything that's on the market, you can recycle the whole business field.
But that's quite interesting, because I mean, one could there's some things come to mind when you're talking. I mean, a joke could be then, well, if we let Shane and Timu run DHL and UPS, everything would work just like that. Because I mean, they send packages from China half across the world. It takes 2 days from China to get something, and Timu's, I mean, the whole Timu thing, fast fashion, everything like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've got that one down, right?
Yeah.
So UPS and DHL, you should start looking at the other guys and see what they're doing, because obviously they're doing. I'm not saying that they're a great company and they're doing good things. I'm just saying that obviously they're doing something that you can't do. So
and companies like Amazon, Alibaba, and so on, they're showing that it's possible to deliver the same day, but why don't they deliver something? Maybe they should deliver something. I don't know. I want.
Well, that usually happens. So. That's another joke we can make about getting things that you didn't know.
That's maybe easier to get that delivered. So, like for instance, like good service. Yeah, I didn't know I wanted, but I need it. But anyway, but let's say I interviewed 5 professors at the time in history, and I asked them, what can you say about the future? And they all laughed. And they said, we're not experts in the future, but one thing we can say, Stefan, is that humankind never learn. We have always repeated the same mistakes. Yeah. From generation to generation, like having fights about water and resources and so on. And it's the same with organizations. The reason for why they don't develop faster and make innovation faster is because they don't need to. So they repeat their history all the time. I've been working in big organization myself with innovation, and it takes me about 10 times more time to actually fill in the paper than to work with innovation. Yep. So extremely ineffective. And most big organizations, they don't like creative people on the inside.
No, I know. One of my favorite organizations that have proven to be very innovative for like 100 years or so. I mean, they had a manager back in 1958, and he wrote actually in their manifest that we need to. It was all about human drive and initiative, but he also wrote that when the system gets in the way of the people, the system is at fault, not the people. Yeah, which I think is a really interesting take on it, because most organizations tend to do the opposite. Yeah. But coming back to one more thing, another thought I had when you were talking about that we are so very good at conflict, and we are great at going to war. I mean, we love going to war. There's a whole industry that loves going to war. Yeah. What if we could just change the mindset so we go to war, but combat stuff that we need to actually combat, like poverty and inequality. Yeah. And the climate change. I mean, couldn't we sort of do war on that?
Yeah, I think, this is so interesting. We spend $2 trillion on the official number for weapons and so on. But also there's a lot of resources in the military. There's people who structures, they follow orders, they don't discuss things. You don't find that anywhere else nearly. There's too much discussion everywhere. So they're highly effective. So I think we need to take the military to solve the problems we have in nature and so on, because they're really good at what they're doing, but they need to change the purpose of what they're doing. Stop killing each other and start to save Earth and us. Because we sort of it feels like we are on a world war towards each other's and to the planet, and we need to change that. And if I could go back to the organization, if you can make an organization 10% less stupid, it will be 10% more profitable. So it's big money involved.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'm looking at the time here. I mean, this is like less than 30-minute coffee break. It's like this is officially the world's fastest half an hour. And just ending off then, what sort of final words would you want to sort of people to, if we're going to leave the audience and people with something here, both regarding the book Homo Stupido and regarding the topic itself, what do you want to share?
Yeah, I will give you a mind thought, and that is, imagine if we didn't live on this earth and we spent our time in universe, and we send the first human being to go to Earth, how would it look? Which species would be the dominant without humans? And how would we restart to come back here again from the beginning? And Earth has this capacity, if we just work with nature and not against nature, it will be the same thing as we haven't been here before ever. So we just need to change the way we connect to nature. I think so.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that I'm just getting the, oh my God, that was a big thought and a very big challenge for humanity. I mean, I'm just afraid because I'm a bit afraid of, I'm a very positive cynic.
Positive cynic, that sounds good.
And I think that one thing is that people think we have to go to space, we have to go to Mars, because if we go to Mars, everything will be cool.
Yeah.
But we're going to be human beings on Mars as well. And it's like it's going to be exactly the same thing there. Oh, that's my hill. No, that's my thing over there. I want this. I want more. I want that.
Yeah.
It's getting some. Let's see here. Really cool here. Getting lots of things in here. Right. Okay. Let's see from Magnus. Maybe we're just not that great to handle future thinking and look to politicians, research, and look forward for us. What if we did this more as a collective thing, starting with your future thinking class in school and future thinking days at work for everyone? Very good comment, Magnus. And then remember your relevance one in Kungsträdgården. I think it was in 2006. So good greeting there. Nice. Tech leaders like Elon Musk seem to be having a bigger influence these days. What messages do you have for tech leaders? Go, you do that one.
Tech leaders, you having a key to the future, and we need to make technology that involves nature and human beings and connect to us. Actually, there's a lot of technology developing now that I think is really good for us, because we're not so smart. We're quite stupid. And that technology is going to be built into our brains and bodies and so on. I think that technology is awesome if we use it in a good way.
But that's a big responsibility for the tech leaders.
Yeah.
It
is. But they have more power than our politicians today, you could say.
Oh yeah, well, obviously they do.
Yeah. Obviously.
Let's see, Maya. I think stupidity is a hard word to decipher. In all we do, we optimize for the benefit in that specific moment or for that specific goal, regardless of the consequences. Yeah, just like the rest of the animals on Earth. Yeah, it's like a now thing. Maybe it's not about being stupid. We just expect ourselves to be smarter. How do we get out of the now thinking and enter a more consequence thinking?
Well, I think we need to use our differences much more with people who have difference diagnostic. I think maybe nature had a plan that we could use each other more than we're doing.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be about title. It should be about how we can contribute to the things we're working with. And also, I think what's interesting with technology and AI, and so it's not emotional yet. And that combination of having us, which we are intelligent, but we're so connected to our emotions that we could get support from a system that's non-emotional. And when those two meet, it can be really creative and great and wonderful if we use it in a good way.
Yeah. So collective thinking and collective acting more?
Yeah. Collective thinking is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's really strange that we don't have more information and we haven't developed what collective thinking is. It's so interesting and it's so powerful. And in my book One, which I started at, I saw its great potential, but we have a lot of conflicts of interest in history. So we don't like to develop ourselves because there's so many people having different interest in different opinions. So we are the only one that stands in our way for development. Yeah, that's why I think we should develop it from the future and then develop ourselves from the future.
Yeah.
And also maybe we need another species to understand ourselves because we're so home blind in our own potential. So we need to change a lot of things. And when I started to write this book 8 years ago, people were shouting at me, you cannot say that. You shouldn't be allowed to say that because humankind was like we were the best thing in the universe, for 8 years ago. But today, with all the problems we're having, people tend to say to me, "This is right, Stefan. The time is right for."
Well, I mean, I've always said that we're the anomaly on the planet. I mean, we're the odd one out. We're the wrong turn, Darwin. We'll come back. Let's do another coffee break on the collective thinking thing. That's another half an hour. This is just a half an hour coffee break. Wednesday morning, Fika with Donny and incredible friends and
thank you, Donny.
Friends to be, and wonderful to have you here, Stefan. Thank you for joining me today. Really happy to have you here. Thank you everyone for being online. Thank you for watching us, and connect with Stefan online on LinkedIn. Keep it going, and you come back next week, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Innovation Fika with me and a new guest. But for today, we're saying thank you and goodbye to Stefan, and thank you and goodbye, everyone. Have a great week, and that's it.